Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Let's wait for the Facebook Live to be set up and we can start.
Cool.
Hi again.
Hi. So let's give another minute until the Facebook Live is started and we can start the panel discussion. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another panel discussion on the Entrepreneurship 2020 Summer Festival. Today's topic is Successful Ventures in Languages and Communication from Words to Venture. It's organized by Entrepreneurship and Product Innovation Center at American University of Armenia. I will be your moderator today. My name is Samuel Hovannisyan and I have PhD in economics. I did my studies at Tufts University in Boston, USA, and I teach entrepreneurship at Brusov State University, and I'm an analyst at the Central Bank of Armenia. Today, we are lucky to be joined by 4 panelists, and here they are. Aravi Kairapetyan, she's the co-founder at Kaizen Mastery. She's a professional coach. Arek Vartanian, he's a co-founder and CEO of Forge Fiction. Erika Avakova, she has PhD in pedagogy and she is the founder of Erika Avakova Russian Courses Online. And last but not least, Irshad Madyarov is the director, founder of Spoke by All Language Technologies. So today's schedule will be the following. First, we will let the panelists present themselves and their experience in entrepreneurship. And later on, we will have a Q&A and chat session where we'll discuss the opportunities of entrepreneurship in the fields of communication, languages, and literature. We will let Aravik start the first.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all the panelists, and hope the audience also will enjoy the session. So I'm Aravi Kairapetyan, and I did my bachelor's in linguistics and intercultural communication at Brusov University. And I would like to tell you a bit how my studies relate to what I'm doing now professionally. So as part of my studies as an intercultural communication student, I started studying various cultures. And as part of studying various cultures, I also started studying various philosophers, thinkers, authors from various nations. And what fascinated me the most was that from the birth of human civilization up until modern days, people have asked the same questions over and over again. What is the meaning of human life? What is the end of suffering? And what is the path to happiness? And as I was diving deep into this topic, I came to kind of study like really various spiritual teachings and philosophies from various nations, like from Stoicism to Taoism, from Plato, Aristotle to Jean-Paul Sartre. So I came to realize that there is so much wisdom accumulated throughout human history that really can help us, human beings, to thrive in the modern world. But another thing that really made me a little bit sad was the fact that no matter how much progress we as human beings have made in terms of technological innovations, like let's say the standards of lives, people really are not living the type of fulfilling lives that we are meant to live. Most of human beings do not have idea what their purpose is in their lives, even though people have the highest salary in the human history. Again, most of the people go to jobs which leave them unfulfilled and with a lot of burnout, mental health issues. So all of these realizations kind of inspired me to start my own venture as a professional coach and help people and organizations, especially business companies, to reinvent themselves in a way where human being and thriving of a human being is a priority. So now currently I work, as I said, as a professional coach. I do speaking, I work one-on-one with executives. I do some kind of trainings inside organizations, and my purpose is to help human beings to connect with their essence, to find the purpose that they have come to live in this life, which is very important in terms of kind of creating a kind of society that really is healthy in all aspects, and human beings are able to contribute to the well-being of that society. And apart from that, I also started Kaizen TV YouTube channel, which again aims to kind of bring up these questions which we do not often talk about, like what is the meaning of life, how we can, each of us can find their unique purpose in this life, and how we can individually with our unique talents and gifts, how we can contribute to society and to well-being of others. I talk a lot about self-awareness and spiritual topics a lot. And in Armenian culture, and the feedback that I have got is that this is like the most weird topic that they could have ever heard. But it doesn't anyhow kind of disencourage me, because I really believe that these are the topics that we do not often talk about, but these are the topics that are so crucial for us in terms of creating a type of society, a type of community that really is conducive for human well-being and human thriving. So this is pretty much it. And I'm really, just to share that when I was thinking about starting my own venture in professional coaching, I never thought that I would ever be able to make money out of this. So this can be my like real entrepreneurial journey. But I came to realize that as I reached out to many people and explained them what's the benefit of paying attention to these topics in their lives, and what's the benefit, for example, of hiring a coach, or for a company to have a speaker for their employees, how it can help them. Gradually, I kind of found that it is really not only people not only are interested, but it is really very, very beneficial in terms of promoting the well-being of employees in business companies, or the well-being of the top executive in the company. So in many ways, I see that the work I do, of course, it's a business-oriented venture, and I do make money out of this. But what I believe is that my work is more of a social, like a catalyst for a social change that started when I was a student and I was studying intercultural communication at Brusov University, and I was able to learn so much from various cultures and various thinkers and like various philosophers about how to thrive as a human being and what is the purpose of human life. So that's just, I know that this is a very big topic to discuss, just to show how this relates to my studies at Brusov. And if you have any further questions, feel free to share. So this is pretty much it.
Thank you, Arevik. It was really very interesting to learn about you and your experience. Next, it is Arek who will tell us the story of Forge Fiction and his experience with that.
Thank you, Samuel. I hope everyone can hear me well and is enjoying the first 10 minutes of the panel. I'm a digital marketing expert with some years of experience behind my back. I also teach at the American University of Armenia, but today I'm here not as a marketing expert, but as a co-founder of a very cool startup called Forge Fiction. And what we do is basically uniting communities together into creating new fiction. So the organizers told me that I can share slides, and that's exactly what I will do to explain you easier what Forge Fiction does. So in short, if you have been following like any fictional universe in the world that exists, for example, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, anything, you would have noticed that there are a lot of theories that come up inside those communities of fans. And those theories are just sometimes amazing. There is a lot of fan fiction going around. But the problem here is that since these people are creating only fan fiction, whatever they do cannot be monetized. And the people who do this incredible job cannot be credited for that. This is why Forge Fiction aims at collecting these people and directing them towards creating completely original books, scripts, comic books, whatever creativity there is in the mind of people, we unite them together and give them tools to express it. So this is how Forge Fiction works right now. Anyone can start an account and then start a book on Forge Fiction, after which our community members gather together and each of them can submit their versions of the first chapter. Then our community votes. The chapter that gets the most votes becomes a part of the final story, and the next chapters are written the same way and again have to be accepted by community voting. Once the books are finished, they are going through editing and then are getting sold across the world with all of the authors and getting revenue proportional to their contribution to the book. So we also give people who create these stories not just the opportunity to get recognized, but also earn money for that. You might see somewhere there that there is Keanu Reeves written, which means like influencers can participate to this as well. And we obviously take a commission fee. We're starting with books right now, but we plan to expand to other markets. And we also hope our final goal is basically selling the content we create to media and entertainment industry like Netflix, Disney, or whoever wants to use community written content. And this is our team. We have been close friends forever since, and one of the uniting parts of our friendship has always been the passion towards high quality fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, all of that. And we are now uniting our career strengths with our passions. And by doing that, we basically came up with and created Forge Fiction, which has a couple of thousand weekly active users per week. And we have already published 2 books, with the recent one called Journeys Through Faladon, which is a fantasy book written by around 40 people, being published 2 weeks ago. And this is Journeys Through Faladon is basically available on Amazon and on other places. And we have received a lot of positive feedback on the book so far, which motivates us to keep going. So this is it about Forge Fiction. And about me, I would be happy to give the speakerphone, the microphone, to the next panelist.
Thank you, Arek. This is really interesting and amazing, the work that you are doing. And our next panelist is Erika Avakova, and she will present her experience as a Russian language tutor, but at the same time, founder of a startup and now a business.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all. I want to greet our panelists and the people who joined our discussion. I would also like to share my screen with you to have some presentation. Just a moment. So do you see my presentation?
Yes, please continue, Erika.
Can you see and hear me?
Yes, very well.
My name is Erika, and for the last 15 years, I have been introducing myself as a university lecturer and a school teacher, Russian language instructor, and for the last 5 years, also a PhD in pedagogy and associate professor. Till the last year, when one more word was also added to all these titles, and this word was micro-entrepreneur. Yeah, I would like to warn from the very beginning that if you are expecting to listen some information how to start a business or how have the financial affairs, maybe you will be disappointed, because I'm not going to tell about this just because I don't have a financial background. I am a teacher. I have a linguistic background and pedagogical background. This is the story how in my life 2 spheres, language and entrepreneurship, met, and this happened last year. Strange as it is, but during my 15 years of my experience, when people spoke about business and entrepreneurship, I just felt that this was not mine. And I am a humanitarian with linguistic background and teaching languages, both in formal and non-formal educational spheres, and teaching Russian, using sometimes English as an intermediate language. So I always, besides, I always considered languages as a tool, not the object of business. But as you see, some mindset shift took place. And I also would like to say that I belong to a generation of people who always thought that business or entrepreneur is just selling and buying, and I didn't like it. And even I was brought up with the idea that if you have a higher education and scientific degree, it is not good to do business. But also, I would like to mention that we now, today, and for a week, we are gathered under the idea to reimagine your future, reimagining our future. I would like to mention that it is much more important to reimagine your past and your present, and to do it from time to time. Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to do that during my career, 15 years. I was working at the same time at 2 or 3 places: university, school, language center, giving private lessons. But last year, I had time to reimagine my past, and I realized that I was not satisfied by what I had by that time, because when usually human being strives for growing, it is supposed to have some well-being, and financial satisfaction is a part of this well-being. So I came to an idea that I want to have my own business, or to begin something by myself, to be my own boss, to have an independence and freedom. And the only thing I could do by that time to leave my second job at the language center. I had been working there during 9 years, doing the same thing and getting the same salary. And when I did this, I realized that I needed something more to fill the gap. And of course, I was thinking, or maybe dreaming about having my own center, linguistic center or language center. But at that time, I could not even afford this, because I didn't have any way out. People usually say that when one door closes, another opens. But at that time, because the only thing I was sure about, and I had by that time, was zero budget. I was sure I had this, and I had and there were a lot of things that I didn't have. So, for example, I didn't have a space to open a center there. I even didn't live in Yerevan. I live in Abovian city, and I don't have flat in Yerevan, for example, to use even a room for a language center. I could not rent because, as we see, I had zero budget, and it is very stable budget. And besides, I didn't have much time. For example, when you rent some space, it is supposed that you use it fully, at least 8 hours a day. But I was busy with my first work, and also I didn't have somebody who would share my idea or would be inspired. So as you see, I didn't have a way out, and later I realized that I didn't see this way out, and I didn't see open doors, because I was, all these I didn't have, or I don't have, were the sides of the books I was thinking inside. And I realized that I have to think differently and widely and think bigger. And this happened one day. It was not day, it was night, and I was suffering from insomnia, to tell the truth, after a health problem and after these changes in my life with leaving my second job. And as I turned the light on, I realized that I have a way out. And I realized that I will find something that will be out of space and out of time. And this was online teaching. And as I turned on the light, I realized that I will offer people to turn their Russian on, and it would be online. And this was the solution. So what I did then, it was the solution, and then I had to have some actions. I opened a page on Facebook and Instagram. I created a logo. This is created by myself. I, of course, applied for identification number license, did some legal issues and tax issues. And after that, at the same time, I began designing different courses. So I am teaching Russian, just one language, but I have at this time, I have 15 different online programs, let's say 15 shades of Russian. At the same time, I'm designing programs, teaching Russian online, communicating people, providing insight into the courses, and this communication is very, very important. Besides, I'm sure that a good teacher should be a good learner. Oh, I forgot to say that at the same time, I was analyzing two groups of people. So people who wanted to learn Russian, they considered to be my customers or future customers, and the people who teach Russian. So they are competitors, and both groups are very important. It is very important to analyze both of them and to be sure that they are also analyzing you and watching you. And besides, to my mind, a good teacher should be a good learner. And I took different courses, for example, social media marketing course or storytelling, different courses connected with distance learning or program designing. And I cannot say that it is everything I'm dreaming about, but it is just the first step towards my dreams. And I did this step. I don't know what will be tomorrow or next year. Maybe we will meet and I'll talk about some educational product. But now I'm just giving my online classes, online courses, and I would like to share my experience and to share with you some do's and don'ts, and it is also connected with my experience. Just some advice. Don't think inside the box and instead develop non-standard thinking. Don't count things you don't have. Make a list of things you do have. Don't procrastinate saying that, oh, I'll open this or do this tomorrow, because tomorrow you will have to do your second step. So make the first step towards your dream and do it now and today. So thank you for your attention. I will be glad to think that my story inspired somebody for future ventures. And now you know that I'm Erika Avakova, a Russian courses instructor. And if you want to go from zero to hero in Russian or to improve your language, you know how to find me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Erika. This was really inspirational and motivational.
Thank you.
Irshad?
Hi, everyone. I also have a screen to share. Just give me a second. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, so my name is Irshad Madyarov. I am technically a full-time professor here at the American University of Armenia. My area of expertise is in languages and specifically English, so teaching English. So we obviously have a program, some of you may know, at the American University called Teaching English as a Foreign Language, where we prepare teachers of English. So that's my background, in a way, teacher trainer, but also there is I specialize in how to use technologies in teaching languages. So that's one of the courses I teach. And so, but today, obviously, I'll be talking about something that overlaps a lot with this, academic part of my identity, but which I think has more relevance to the festival. It's a company that I started recently with my team, AI Language Technologies. And app that we're developing called Spock. And so, give me a second here. Can you see the slides? Are they moving?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So just briefly about my team, because really without these people, I don't think I've been able to do that. And again, if you're thinking of doing something entrepreneurial, one strong piece of advice would be to find the people that will be, you know, part of your team and that will support you day and night. And so these are the people that I'm, you know, thankful greatly. And so some of them obviously are technical because AI, you may know, stands for artificial intelligence. It's extremely technical. So we have the NLP expert. NLP stands for natural language processing. There's another NLP that you may be aware of, neurolinguistic programming. It's not that one. So this is a machine learning, artificial intelligence related acronym. So Lena is guru there, Jacob is our Android backend, and Mariana Grigorian is a marketing business person. In general, she's the engine, I would admit, in our team, in our startup, the force behind all the activities we do. So this, and I will briefly now tell you about how this whole thing started. A little bit of a, you know, history, perhaps not too far away history, maybe a year ago. So as I said, I teach here at American University, and one course that I've been teaching is called teaching using new technologies and teaching English as a foreign language. And every year I dedicate a week to mobile technologies. And there's a lot of immense power in mobile technologies because, you know, a lot of our learning now moves to what Erika was just describing, to out of time and out of space kind of dimension, and ubiquitous learning, the so-called. And so mobile technologies allow us this, give us this affordability. And now in introducing these different, you know, apps without master's students at AUA, analyzing them, trying to find out how to use them. One obvious observation that I saw was that not a single one of them actually taught how to speak. And yes, they taught you how to pronounce well, how to, you know, repeat things. And many of them actually connect you with life tutors, which is, I think, is also immense, you know, value for language learners. But I was looking for the one that could help you be one-on-one with that device without a human being and able to practice that authentic speaking. And I was intrigued. I became intrigued, and I did some research already as part of our company. We interviewed a few dozen language learners from different countries. And these 3 items that you see at the bottom, like quotes, essentially is a summary of these interviews that we found, and that all of them said there is little or no speaking practice when they use language learning apps. And then when they do talk to people, then they have the fear of making mistakes and being judged. And many of them, again, that use language apps, or even when they work in different classes, language classes, oftentimes they say they don't feel like their language is improving. But the first 2, I think, is an interesting discovery for me. It was like confirmed my sense that the current apps are not there to teach you speaking. And so I became intrigued by this as a researcher, as an educator. So that's how our company started. And I talked to a few of like-minded people, and we started working together. And so what we have right now, so basically this slide here is, well, now we try to synergize what mobile technology offers us as well as the traditional language tutors offer us. So we try to find the best of the 2 worlds and create something different, such that it is anytime, any place, it is engaging, it is affordable, because apps obviously are much more affordable than classroom learning, for example. but also pedagogically, it is very individualized, that there is a lot of speaking opportunity. All right, and so what we decided to do is put together an app, and we're still developing it. It's we don't have customers that are paying us just yet. We're at the stage of polishing it, and those of you who are thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, something for me, I don't have a business background at all. So for me, the major discovery was that actually you take baby steps in your business idea, and as soon as possible, try to actually get down to creating some sort of product and giving it to your users, so you can see how it works, even in the small little versions of it, prototypes, MVPs called oftentimes. Start with something simple, but as soon as possible, try to interact with your users. And so we have this, we passed the stage of ideation and, creating simulations of, on PowerPoint slides or whatnot. Now we're at the stage of creating something a little more solid with the help of designers. So this one slide here is basically, that you see here, the first screen of the app. Basically, language learners go through very simple kind of typical activity where you just click the word, you learn the new words, you repeat it. There's speech recognition, recognizes you, helps you pronounce it well. The second stage, you have to learn the phrases related to that topic. So in this case, I like, I don't like, do you like? And again, there is pronunciation you have. So this is nothing new here, nothing unusual. This last screen is actually the conversation that happens with the bot, and that bot's name is Spock. And so obviously it's all oral because it's speaking. So there is this mic button at the bottom, speech recognition, and and because it is a tutor, this Spock is supposed to then be able to remember your errors, store it in the memory, and just build activities around it, build conversations around it. And also, if you, for example, make errors, if needed, Spock will pause and correct you. There is some other pedagogical tricks around it. And this is a quick little demo I prepared for you with Spock.
Hi, I'm Spock. I'm your language tutor. What is your name?
Can you just double check? Can you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Name David.
Hey there, David. What do you want to do today?
I want to talk about food.
Let's start our lesson. Today we will be talking about food. First, I will ask you some questions. Okay, how do you like water?
I like water.
Very good. That's great. Now, ask me some questions.
Does you like bananas?
I'm not sure that sounds correct. Say it again, please.
Does you like bananas?
You made a mistake. You need to say, do you like bananas? Please repeat it after me. Do you like bananas?
Do you like bananas?
No, I do not like banana.
So this is just a small little snippet, and obviously it's just the conversation itself is more elaborate, and we basically cut and pasted pieces of it, so it's short for the purpose. It's a nice purpose. So basically, that's all I wanted to share with you. I'll be happy to engage with the rest of you, with the panel experts here as well, around any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Irshad. It seems very exciting what you are doing. It can revolutionize the language teaching sphere. And we already have questions coming in. One question is from Rosanna Sarkisian. She asked to Erica what difficulties she faced when starting her venture. And Erica, do you want to answer that question?
Yes, I answered in written form, but maybe it is better to say it now live. And the main difficulty, as I said, I started online teaching last year, and it was a pre-pandemic story. So many people didn't trust to online courses, online education, especially in Armenia. And the main difficulty was connected with the people's mindset. But after this situation with the pandemic, I think everybody is sure that it is possible to have an education online, and it could be quite effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Erika. Another question we have for Irshad is his experience with starting this venture. What has been the main lesson learned from the startup that you founded and you would like to share with the audience?
There's a number of learning experiences for me because as a non-business person and not a very technical person, of course, I understand it from the point of view of pedagogy. I think maybe one that I could highlight is that a lot of decisions we make about what we want to offer to the market is based on assumptions. So we think, okay, so this is the best product ever and the users need it. It's an assumption. And then we think, oh, they will use it this way and that way, and this is how much revenue it's going to produce. This is an assumption. So, I mean, and for me as a researcher, I understand assumptions. I know what assumptions are. They were not new to me when I started. But in the business world, for me, it was an eye-opener to really analyze your business idea from the perspective to put on your glasses, assumptions glasses, and wear them and try to unpack everything about your plan around assumptions. Where are the facts and where are the assumptions, and like separate your thinking into two categories, and together in your team, ideally, create a list of things in terms of, okay, so what is like for instance, in our case, I'll give you an example. It was an assumption, it still is, that language learners will like talking to a bot to practice their speaking. I think it's exciting, why not? There's no level of embarrassment, you can repeat as 100 times as you want, and there's a lot of good things, but it's an assumption until we give it to the users and confirm that with evidence. So we list all these assumptions, yeah? There are some financial assumptions that, for example, yes, I'm able to, here I created, some expenses, some costs, some revenue, and this is what I think will balance out at the end of the day. But then those expenses, costs, they're also based on assumptions, yeah? Because just recently I have to realize that we assumed that the technologies that we would use would cost this much. Started implementing it, it ended up costing a lot more. So we list these assumptions, and then we create together in the columns to how likely you think we're right with this assumption or wrong, maybe like create a scale, and how likely, what is the cost of being wrong? So you can create this kind of very quantitative analysis, and then when you do this analysis, you see that which assumptions are huge red flags, which assumptions that you think might really be wrong, for which you have really little evidence, and at the same time, the assumptions that if you are wrong, it'll cost you a fortune. So if you're able to identify those and start working on those, and you start looking for hard and fast evidence to turn your assumptions into facts, and then you will be able to really clear up a lot of this fluff around your business idea and understand whether it's workable, doable. For me, this was, I think, was a major discovery.
Thank you, Irshad. And we have a follow-up question by Laura Hovakimian, and she's asking whether the app that you are building is going to teach only English or other languages, and will the app teach the colloquial language as well?
Okay, so for now we're doing it English, and in fact for Russian speakers for now, because there has to be some interface component and Spock has to understand the first language of the user as well. And hopefully we'll roll it out in the future. The second question, remind me, Samvel, what was the second question?
Yeah, will you teach colloquial, like jargon
Colloquial,
language?
yeah. Yes, indeed, yeah, because it's part of the natural language. In fact, because it's conversational English that we teach, colloquial English will have to be priority here.
Thank you. We have another question for Arek. You mentioned when presenting the team that you are close friends, and my question is about scaling up. How you plan to scale up and to bring new people who are not close friends, and how you see collaboration in a bigger team?
Well, thanks for the question. So first of all, our team is already more than 10 people. We are actually 11 in for Friction right now. So that part was already covered. And the nice thing about working together on an idea that's quite new and has not been explored a lot is that you always think together towards the same goal, towards the same idea, and you eventually kind of become friends, but that's not essential, first of all. If we were not friends, it wouldn't affect in any way like the development of the startup, because at that moment we were more like, so we have this goal, we know we have this skill set, and we know what we need to do. So we're working towards that. However, our experience shows that when we hire people who are also passionate about the same goals as we are, the results they show are a lot better than if they just start getting into the industry. So that's one of the ways we prefer to be hiring, but it's not a must going forward from this.
Thank you. And another question is to Arevik. As she presented, when she was presenting her value proposition to Armenian audience, it wasn't considered helpful or, I don't know, rational or reasonable. So in this sense, she did great job of going out of the borders of Armenia and finding clients which are not Armenian and maybe even not knowing where the country is. So what would be your advice to all those ventures, all those Armenian startups that want to go out and do consulting service out of Armenia? How to start, what to take into account, and how to engage and attract new clients?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I wouldn't call what I'm doing a startup with its like real definition. It's like a business that makes money, but it's not a startup. So, and I'm very comfortable with that. So, this is one aspect of it. Second one is that it may sound even more strange, but the work that I'm doing is really very dear to my heart. And I will be honest with you, it's so much easier for me to find clients for the services I offer from abroad rather than from Armenia and engage them. But the thing is that part of why I'm doing what I'm doing is that because I think in Armenia, people need much more what I do rather than abroad, because many people internationally are at least somehow, especially in the Western world, they are familiar with the work that I do. So I believe that if you want to extend your services, like your consulting services outside Armenia, it's like quite easy, especially if you are using LinkedIn. What I do is that I always prioritize relationship building over everything. So I always kind of reach out to people and connect them if I really like what they do, or like based on their profile, of course, because that's how we engage in the online world. And I always try to make sure that kind of if there is anything that I can help this person with, I do that. So it doesn't have to be at the beginning like a real something that they pay me for, but I just want to make sure that I can always be useful. That's like one of the most important things that I really believe that always pays off when you really can. You are not just out for your own interest, but you also take for account some other people's interests, and you build a relationship and are useful. And I had so many experiences in my life when, for example, I reached out to someone and I said, hi, I offer coaching services. Would you like to kind of have a discovery call or things like that? At that moment, they didn't need it, but they needed something else, and I helped them with it. And then like maybe 6 months later, sometimes after, somebody kind of contacted me, and that person was actually the one that referred them to me. So I think that just to sum up, in my opinion, to go internationally, always use LinkedIn. That's one. Second, build relationships with people, give lots of value, and do it like genuinely and authentically. And third, of course, put yourself out there, like create content. If you are, for example, consultant, like business consultant, then just make sure that you post content on LinkedIn in that topic. Give value to people on various aspects of business, and show them that you are really like competent person with your content. And again, this is another kind of, let's say, strategy that really works, because a lot of people on LinkedIn can see what you are doing. A lot of people can really interact and connect with your content. And sometimes they just knock on your door by themselves. So you don't even have to like put effort in gaining them and spend to you. So I really like, from my experience, LinkedIn is like
great.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Arabi.
Platform.
These were very helpful tips. Thank you, Arabi. Suzy Hakopian has a question to Irshad, and she says that she is a current student at Yerevan State University and she is studying translation studies. She thinks if it's she's asking about your hiring process, what is the process to enlarge your team and how you can include more people in the team and how you plan on scaling up in this sense?
I think it's a very good question, looking at it from a business perspective. I mean, to answer this question very specifically, at this point, we are not hiring translators. I thank you, Suzy, for your interest. One idea that I think might be useful for business people, beginning entrepreneurs, is to obviously remain lean. And what it means in our world is that you want to try to reduce your costs as much as possible. And so another related term is you bootstrap yourself. So you basically, you don't pay yourself salary, you don't pay other salary, you use whatever revenue that's being produced to help you grow your business as much as possible. So it's related, because so then if we want to use translators, we would have to use our internal resources as much as possible at the beginning, at least, until we scale up. But in the long term, basically, I think it's very similar to any other company. You want to find the best in the market. You do an announcement, you screen them, you find the best people for the salary you're paying.
Yeah, thank you, Irshad. We have another question to Erika, and it's about the mindset. So when you are starting something, for instance, for you, when you were starting your teaching, like online teaching business, did you look at it as an entrepreneurship, or did you look at it as online tutoring, which was a continuation of what you did at universities and at teaching centers? And from this mindset point of view, like how does it differentiate the process that you go through if you have different mindset than entrepreneurship?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Of course, I didn't even have the idea that I become an entrepreneur because maybe two reasons, because of two reasons. When I started it last year, it was the end of October. I was called, according to the tax code of the Republic of Armenia, I was called self-employed, and I thought that I am giving private lessons, and I had been giving private lessons for about 15 years, both offline and online. And nobody ever asked, what is your business? So everybody knew me as a university lecturer or just a Russian language specialist or instructor. But when you begin to giving some advertisement about yourself, it is already stepping into a market. And besides, after I opened my business pages on Facebook and Instagram, even my colleagues were asking me if it is effective to give online lessons, and they even didn't understand how it could happen. And the others asked about my business, and I got confused because I didn't consider it a business. But beginning with this year, some changes took place in our tax code, and people who want to give some lessons, language lessons, can be called micro-entrepreneurs. So I just accepted this idea, and I think that it is not the information or the fact to be proud of or to be ashamed of. This is the reality. And first of all, about when we are speaking about mindset, I should say that my first clients or pupils or students were from abroad, and they trusted online teaching and education. But it was a little bit difficult with Armenians, with people who live in Armenia, because it was not a usual thing. But I think the time gives the answers for all the questions. And now we don't have any questions concerning the effectivity of online teaching, and this mindset shift took place. And to be an entrepreneur is not a bad thing. If you have, I think that entrepreneurs are people who want to change the world. The others maybe want to get or to make money, but if you want to do both, it is not bad, because I also consider that teaching online or giving some lessons of Russian is not just teaching, because many people come with problems. One have problem, for example, with speaking spoken Russian. The other has a problem with grammar, and you help these people solve their problems. So you are a problem solver, and I think it is great when you help people. That's all, maybe.
Thank you, Erika. And we have a follow-up question by Agnes. She's asking whether there is an age limit, like does age matter when you want to become a tutor? I will generalize it a bit. So does age matter if you want to become an entrepreneur in general?
If I'm not mistaken, to tell the truth, I don't know exactly, but I think you should be at least 18 years. You should be adult. in order to be registered. But if you want to do, for example, when I took my SMM social media marketing lessons, we had a student who was 14 years and he was very active and he already had his entrepreneurial mindset, and he said that he doesn't want to get some education. So I think you can start when you want, but to be registered, maybe you need to be 18 years old. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm not sure.
Thank you, Erika. I think I have another question for Arek. It's about the core of their value proposition, helping people collaborate in creating new value. From my studies of philosophy, I remember that mostly the masterpieces that many philosophers created, the books, that their works, they didn't get sold initially, or people even didn't care to read these books, which means that they were not popular and the general audience didn't accept it. So how do you make it possible for your platform to support this creation of these kind of works, which by general public, initially they are not accepted, but the time shows that they have value in themselves?
So in this case, so as Irshad said previously, doing a startup depends a lot on making assumptions. And one of the assumptions we have right now is that no one is going to write books like Dostoevsky or Salinger, or like philosophical books on forge fiction. We consider it more, and we build tools that will help people to write something more for like just an ordinary entertainment, some fantasy books, sci-fi books, maybe some romance, horror, detective, everything. But we do not assume that people are going to gather together, or like people who have spent all of their life studying some particular field will come to our platform and then put all their studies into writing a philosophical book. And there are various reasons for that. First of all, our platform, Forge Fiction, is for people who would not be able to write a book themselves, like alone. But the people you are mentioning and the books that they create do not need the power of communities. They have their own minds, and they have their enough writing skills that they can produce those types of content. Forge Fiction is not for authors or maybe amateur ones. It's for fans of fictional literature who have amazing ideas. The core for us is to create like great fictional universes and interesting stories. The way that they are written can easily be changed if the story and the core of the story is a good one. So I hope that answers your question, but again, it is still an assumption. It is being proven right now as we have launched and we have users, but we still are not sure in which direction the platform will go in the end. So yeah, only time will be able to tell that.
Thank you, Arek. Another question that I have is to Arevik. We know that she has the YouTube channel called Kaizen TV, where she has amazing videos that she teaches a lot of interesting stuff free of charge, put it live on YouTube. Please tell us how that helps you in marketing your services, how that helps you in creating your brand and sharing the knowledge, and how much of that is just your wish to share what you know and the actual pragmatic approach to promoting your business. How is that interconnected?
Yeah, actually, this is an awesome question, because most often people who kind of put out their content or they start YouTube channel, this YouTube channel becomes, I mean, the intention for the YouTube channel is for it to become a channel for them to sell their services. And I'm not judging it. I'm not like trying to say this is wrong. My approach is different. As I said in the to the answer to the previous question, all of my mentality and kind of the way that I have always been in the business is that value is the first. So my intention, whether it's putting content on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, is always to give the value to the people with what I can offer, like with my talents and gifts, like really to put it out there. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be intentional in creating your business strategy or creating like step-by-step process how people can kind of find you or kind of engage with your services. But from my perspective is that there is so much selling and trying to kind of force people to buy from you, which I think may be useful. I don't know, when you are selling like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or I don't know, toilet paper, but when you are selling professional services, people are not kind of buying just the service. They are buying the relationship from you. They are buying your competence. They are buying many other components than just a product. So they need to see you as a personality. So for them to see you as a personality, you really need to be authentic. For you to be authentic, you can't just sell stuff. You need to, I mean, be honest with whatever you have to offer, and people who resonate with you, they will automatically be drawn to you. And people who do not resonate with you, they will just not notice you, and it's okay. And there are people in my coaching career that, I mean, they don't even care about what I do, and it's okay. And I think this is one of the most important lessons that I had to learn, that there are people who really love what I do, and there are people who are indifferent. And what I need to do is to be more of myself, more authentic, more genuine, put the content that I really believe in, that I really think that people need to care about. And even though people may not even ever thought about like what is self-awareness, what is conscious parenting, what is like mental health, what is spirituality, what is being a conscious leader of an organization and things like that, even though they have never thought about it, you put the content out there, they see it, they click with it, and then they start a relationship with you, and then it may lead to them becoming your client, or it may be them becoming your fan and spreading the word about you, or inviting you to conferences, or like opening lots of doors for you. And there are going to be people who just don't care. So just to sum up, like starting my YouTube channel had the intention to give value to people and who need it. And I think I have been quite happy to see like the feedback from people. And one thing that I can say is that there are a lot of people who are like watching YouTube channel and they are never going to be my clients because like the fees are quite high and there are many other factors. But as I said in my presentation, my work isn't just about being an entrepreneur. My work is about bringing forth a social change, especially in Armenia, because I think in Armenia, people really need to talk about these topics, and the shift in this mindset can really help us build a society that is really healthy in different aspects. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Aravi.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work you do. I have another question to Irshad, because Irshad mentioned that he was a full-time professor, he was fully in academic world, and then he decided to come up with this startup, the venture. What would be your advice to all those people who are like doing their career, everything is fine, everything is stable, they have the full-time job, but at the same time they think that there is a problem that they can solve. And what would be the balance between starting something new and keeping your current obligations, and how to do the shift, when to do it, and how to manage that process?
I think it's a very good question. There are books written on it. That's how complicated is this question. So I'm still a full-time professor here. So that's, I think, is important to highlight. And it is 1 year into the project, from the time I started thinking of it. So obviously, I think it's a key question here, because that unless you're a genius, and I'm not one of them, trying to juggle so many things at a very high level of performance is close to impossible. And so I think at some point, if you think your idea for your entrepreneurship idea is it occupies a lot of your heart, then you probably need to make that fair decision for yourself and perhaps leave your stable full-time job. But then, having said that, when you do a startup, and I think Arek somehow alluded to that when you have an idea and even you have users that are paying you and everything is fine, you don't really know where it's going to take you. There's a lot of fuzziness. And that's one reason why you have to be able to shift. So the concept is pivoting. That you move as you gain additional evidence from your users. You understand where is that value? How am I better producing the value for my users? And oftentimes there are shifts, you pivot 180 degrees. You end up doing something very different. Or you may end up saying, well, I'm not doing it anymore. There is no value. I was wrong. My assumption was wrong. So I think at some point you reach the stage when you know, yes, actually what I'm doing brings value to people. Number two, it brings me immense satisfaction that I feel like I'm in the element. And it's also paying my bills, sustaining me financially and my family. And if you think you're there, then ideally, I think it would be good to leave your full-time job so that they can hire somebody else, because otherwise, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's responsible to, and the quality will suffer in both cases.
Thank you, Rashad. Yeah, these are very important points, and each of those, and also me, think about that when we have the full-time job, everything is stable, but at the same time we have this idea we are passionate about and we don't sleep because of it. And when it's the time to move on and change the world, reimagine the future. Yeah. And another question that I have is to Erika, because Erika is a great role model of coming from non-MBA, non-business education and creating a business that she's proud of, and she's presenting it today. There are now many centers that support entrepreneurship. There is the EPIC at the AUA, we have the Smart Entrepreneurship Center at Brusov State University, the Management Master's Program at Brusov State University is very active, and now they are working on creating online courses free of charge related to entrepreneurship. But very often, especially when we're working with non-economics, people who are not in the field, like you mentioned, I'm a humanitarian, I don't know how to do business. It's understanding what you actually need. And in this sense, maybe my question is, what would be, if you reflect back, if you look at your path, what knowledge or what skills did you lack the most initially that you needed support with, that all the work that we do could help you? Like if there were the tools there, if there was the knowledge there that could help you, maybe you can talk about that.
Thank you for the question. So as I said, last year, I had much time to reimagine my pathway, because I didn't get into detail, but to tell the truth, I was surrounded by white walls in a hospital during 2 weeks, and it was enough. Maybe I had enough time to think over my way, but I realized that during these 15 years, I had been doing what I like most. So teaching is my passion. Creating resources, programs, dealing with people. I also enjoy the communication between the teacher and the students during the class. And maybe I needed some, how to say, maybe to be a little bit risky to begin something, because sometimes I preferred stability and didn't want to change anything. I think the problem was inside me. And maybe if I had an opportunity to change something, I will begin taking some courses concerning the business or entrepreneurship, though I attended a lot of seminars, free of charge seminars, and maybe the idea of starting my own business was born during these seminars. Maybe I have answered. I think
Thank you, Erika.
Question.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. And another question is to Arek. Arek, being like from the slide that you showed, it said, if I remember correctly, all the founders of the startup were Armenian, yes? So in this sense, being an Armenian startup, being located here in Armenia, but having the audience in the UK, in the USA, in Australia, as I remember, does it make, like, how being an Armenian startup help, and how does it create obstacles for the growth of your startup?
Okay, thanks for the great question. I would like to answer to it in 2 parts. First, like as marketing, in terms of marketing users, and then as a business. And I would like to start with the business one. So first of all, being Armenian helps a lot, especially in the IT industry. That's one of the things I'm most proud of, of Armenians, is that in the IT industry, almost everyone I've met until today, and it's been like almost 3 years since I'm in the startup world, everyone is genuinely willing to help you to do something that you want. Whether it's like helping themselves or connecting to people who can help you. All of that, the startup world of Armenia is amazing. And at the same time, we have huge Armenian diaspora located in the United States, in Silicon Valley. And I'm talking about that part of the world because that's where the main interest for our company is. And there are Armenians in all of the big companies in the world. And somehow, if you know right people, they know the right people who will connect you to those. So from that perspective, being Armenian helps a lot. And I'm very happy that we started it here. But at the same time, not being physically here brings new difficulties in terms of like fundraising. So like you have to go meet those people so you convince them to invest into your startup. And I'm pretty sure all Armenian startups at some point, when they have already fundraised all of the Armenia, it's time for them to go to whether it's Russia or United States and meet venture capitals there. So obviously being in United States already helps with that. And also like in terms of business development, if you want to get new partnerships, new clients, I'm pretty sure for B2B companies, having a presence in the United States is a huge plus. For us, now I'm going to the marketing side. Since digital marketing exists and we know the language, it was pretty easy to get obviously it was not easy, but it would be the same difficulty if we did that from any place in the world. So it's digital marketing. You utilize different marketing tools like influencers or advertising on social media, content marketing, anything. So you can do that virtually everywhere. So, and our main growth strategy was and still is like digital marketing, more particularly partnerships with influencers or YouTube channels, when they like come to our website, start a book, and then invite their fans to write it together. This was how we started marketing Forge Fiction. And actually we started with zero budget as well. But when we went with those offers to YouTube channels, they were all excited as well, because that is a new way for them to interact with their community of followers. So you basically give them a tool that will help them to keep their fans more engaged. And their fans are their, well, revenue generators. So it was kind of interconnected, and everyone was getting profits from somewhere. And that's how we found a way for us to grow. So yeah, being Armenian mostly helped up until today. Obviously, if we were Armenians in US, it would be better, but we are not complaining since, well, it's fine the way it is.
Great to hear that. My next question, I think it's both to Erika and Arevik. Maybe you can answer one by one. It's about growing your business, yeah, your company. You have the experience of building your customer list, creating the connection with them, creating all the positivity around you and your brand. But currently, both of you don't have a big team. So how you see scaling up, how you see bringing in new people, training them, and creating the culture and the culture inside the company that would continue what you do in the way that you do. Maybe Arevik, you can start, or Erika.
Would you like to start?
Let
Yes.
Arevik start.
Okay. So actually, when I was starting, I had support from my sister, and she was engaged in business development aspect of Kaizen Mastery, which meant kind of reaching out to clients, offering kind of services both like locally and also internationally. And also we had the team member who helped with creating Kaizen TV videos, like creating, editing, etc. In terms of extending reach of Kaizen Mastery, what I think is that, again, this is my philosophy, it may not apply to everyone, but I really believe that like people who are who need to be part of your team need also to be part of your idea. So this is, in my opinion, very important. And along these years, I have met, I wouldn't say many people, it wouldn't be honest, but I have met, I mean, during the work and also putting myself out there, going to events, talking about things that I believe are important, both inside organizations and for the societal change in general. There have been many people who just didn't care. And there were also people who kind of really care. And we really see that we kind of have the same vision, and we have the same kind of mindset about the change we want to implement. And the way we see the role of human being in the society, and kind of the way we want to reinvent organizational culture. And at this moment, these people are not like part of my team, and I'm not part of their team. But this is the period of kind of maybe putting seeds which will, in the long term, create some awesome results. And I don't necessarily think that these people need to be like part of my team, or I need to be part of their team. We can kind of collaborate, and in some ways we can even redefine the meaning of the word team, and we can kind of do some amazing projects together, amazing, let's say, stuff together, without necessarily being part of each other's team in an official sense, or in the traditional sense of the word. In terms of kind of some technical aspects, like, for example, having someone who would do the social media, or someone who would, I don't know, do the like digital marketing, or with work with events. Again, during this process, there have been many people who, when the need came, these people were really very helpful. And at that specific moment, when it was necessary, they became part of the team. And we are sure that whenever the need becomes evident in future, they will again rejoin the idea and contribute. So I'm not sure whether I answered your question, but in my perspective, the concept of the team in professional services industry is again a bit different compared to a startup that has a product, and there is someone who is doing, let's say, digital marketing, another person does, I don't know, code writing, etc., etc. So it's a bit different, but I think that, as I said at the beginning, you need two people who really are after the vision that you are having. So there are people that share the same vision. That's the most important thing. And if there are people who, by listening to our talk, they are kind of resonating with me and kind of connecting with what I do, I mean, feel free to connect via LinkedIn or Facebook. Again, just to share one thing, I had recently a person who reached out to me and said, I really love your content and the work you do, and kind of, I've been at your event, etc., etc. How can I volunteer for you? I mean, he wasn't even like thinking about just becoming a team member and getting paid, but he was thinking about how he can contribute and just help you reach your goals, which I think is really fascinating, not in terms of exploiting someone, but just showing how the power of vision can inspire people.
Thank you, Aravik. And the part that you raise, the volunteer opportunities, at our chair at Bristol State University, we have some initiatives of a knowledge translation, like literature translation, to make Armenian literature available to all users. And we have, I think, more than 50 volunteers now from the university who responded to our request to support us. And I value all these people so much because, because there are so many great initiatives which are not for profit. They are just for common good. And having that culture of volunteering and supporting such initiatives is just so motivational and so important for society to self-organize and create something good for everyone. Thank you. And Erika, do you want to add anything to?
Yes, when I first was thinking about beginning my own business, the first thing I thought about was having a team. But I realized that it is too responsible to offer people begin something when you are not sure if you will succeed or not, if you will have success or not. And that's why I decided to begin by myself. But maybe you are right. It is very important to share your experience with other teachers. And I'm thinking about that, maybe to become a trainer of teachers or something else. And as I mentioned in my presentation, being an online instructor or teacher is not the top of my dreams, and I have bigger dreams, and I did the first step towards them. I don't want now to speak about any dream because I prefer to speak about things that have already happened. Besides, I'm doing my first steps in business, and I'm less than a year business lady or entrepreneur. So I think it is early to think about huge projects, but during these 8 or 10 months, I got offers from another people to become a part of their teams. And also I received different offers from people or my previous students to become a part of my team, so that they wanted me to hire them to do some social media marketing and something else. But at this stage, I prefer to work by myself because it is also a good experience to know, to investigate, to have research, because when I'm answering the calls or answering the letters, I face the problems people have, and I am thinking about the ways of solving these problems, and I think that it is a good experience even for the future. So maybe this year is an experiment, like something like an experiment, and I am also thinking about having some educational product, but these are just plans. I'm not sure what will be tomorrow, but it's a good idea. Maybe if somebody wants to become part of my team or is thinking about any project, I am open. And you know how to contact me. I would be glad. Or if somebody wants some maybe consultation about how to handle with legal or tax issues, I can share my experience. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Erika. I would like to remind all the people who are now on Zoom and watching the Facebook Live video, feel free to ask any question you have. We are here to answer your questions. And at the same time, I would ask our panelists to do a round of maybe suggestions or your advice to all the people who would watch the recording of the video and who are live with us. Like if they are in the field of languages, communication and literature, these people have no idea about entrepreneurship. Maybe they know problems, but they don't know how to solve them. What would be your advice, how they can turn their ideas into an organization and help it grow? Yes, Arek, please.
Okay, I just wanted someone to start. So I'm not specialized in like languages, but I would like to answer to this question just as an entrepreneur and as a person who does startup. Especially if what you are doing is something completely new that has not been done before, and like it's not something doing at a cheaper price or just improving the speed of something. What you are doing is completely new. There will be two kinds of people in the world who you will meet. The first one will tell you that whatever you are doing is completely amazing. It's gonna succeed. It's gonna revolutionize the world. And those kinds of people are the ones that give you motivation to move forward. And they fix on the reasons why it would succeed. And it's very important to have those kinds of people nearby or have one of them inside your team who can lift you up when the team is not motivated anymore. And those kinds of things are absolutely going to happen when you are just starting, because there is this second part of the people who are going to tell you that whatever you are doing is never going to work. Stop wasting your time. Well, what the hell are you doing here? Just go work for some company and earn money from there. This is not what you should be spending your time on. And the thing here is that in most cases, both of those types of people are correct. But what you should focus on is not the final result, whether it's like becoming a unicorn or like failing at the first stages. You should focus on the reasons why these people are telling you will succeed and the reasons why these people are telling you will fail. So you should focus on your strengths and try to eliminate the reasons why these people are telling those that you are going to fail. Because if people are saying something, at least some part of it is usually true. So try to evaluate whatever anyone is saying, but don't focus on what they say the income of your startup will be, but focus on the reasons behind those. That's all for me.
Thank you, Alec. Do we have another panelist who wants to say?
I can share, something. I think a little bit similar to, I think, in terms of the philosophy, what Arevik was trying to share at the beginning. I do also rely, being a researcher and very much analytical, at the same time, I think there is a world that is invisible. There is what I call spiritual world. And I think it helps us to move forward. And when we make steps forward, if we're in the right direction, doors will open. If we're going in the wrong direction, doors will close. Now, obviously, we should knock on that door several times and not just leave the door right away. But if you're knocking and banging and it's not opening, maybe you should pivot into something else, in other words. But I think a lot of times when you do, when you engage in entrepreneurship, you're basically groping in the dark. You don't know where you're moving. And what helped me is be connected to that spiritual reality and to my creator, however you do it, through meditation, through prayer, through whatever other ways you may have. But this confirmations will come from different places. They might come from people, that Arek mentioned. They might come from suddenly you have a circumstance, you have, unusual opening here, unusual opportunity here. So doors will open if you are moving in the right direction. And so I think listening to those confirmations to me has always been helpful, including in my recent project with Spock.
Thank you, Irshad. Arevik?
Okay, so what I'm going to say, not many people are going to like, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay, so it's very important to understand that entrepreneurship or having a startup or having a business is really not for everyone, and it's okay. I mean, the problem that I see currently is that we are in this hype of entrepreneurship, startup, revolutionizing, changing the world, becoming the next Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, this and that, which I think in many ways is kind of becoming of, how can I say it, like many people think that unless they are doing a startup or unless they are revolutionizing the world or unless they are working with some team of startuppers, something is really wrong with them. And it becomes kind of shameful experience for them. But what I want to suggest is that connecting back to what I was saying at the beginning, you have come to this planet Earth for a unique purpose. Can you hear me, by the way, or my internet isn't good? Okay. So you have a unique purpose, you have unique gifts and talents, and contribution to make to this world. And like having a startup or kind of owning a business isn't the type of contribution that every human being should make. Maybe being a teacher at school or having a 9-to-5 job and enjoying it and really loving it is what you are kind of, you are loving. And there is nothing wrong with you if you aren't part of any startup or business, or you aren't kind of, let's say, revolutionizing the world. So in my opinion, it is very important to be really honest with ourselves and not be influenced by the hype and the trends that are going on around, and really to follow our joy, to follow what is really authentic and true to us. And trust me, if you do that, then you are going to make such beautiful contributions to the society and to the world that it doesn't matter whether you are part of startup or you aren't. So like, you really need to be authentic with yourself and true to your internal essence. That's what I would.
Thank you, Arevik. The point that you are raising is really interesting. Being entrepreneurial doesn't always mean to start a startup or a new business, but like even there is a term for it, corporate entrepreneurship, which means you can work in a corporate and do so much of revolutionizing, so much of changing things. You can be a simple school teacher in a region, but you can bring in new teaching methods. You can be an example of changing things, and you can again update and be an example for a whole generation. So in this sense, seeing problems and coming up with suggestions to them, being even in a non-governmental field in your community, seeing a problem and finding a solution to it, even without starting a business, but just going there and finding funding for it and changing something is important. What we try to promote is actually following your true self, as Arevik says, your passion, whatever you are interested about, whatever you love, just continue doing it, be the example of it. It could be through an entrepreneurship, through a startup, through an NGO, or just doing your regular job, but be the change that you want to see. And thank you, Arevik, for raising that part. Erika, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I would like to address those people and maybe students who are who are specialized in languages and social sciences, in pedagogy. I would like to say that even if you are students of the first year or second or the last, it doesn't matter. Use any opportunity to teach, to have experience. Because not everybody goes to work at school, or not everybody becomes a university lecturer, but by the end of your study, you will have experience. And it doesn't matter whom you teach. It may be your neighbor's child or your relative's child or adults. And get the feedback from your students or your pupils. It is also very important. And besides, even if you decide to become a part of a team or become a teacher or a university lecturer, I think sooner or later you will think about beginning your own business, because I think it is too naive to think that the employer will appreciate all your talents or abilities, advantages over others. Or your salary will be commensurate with your professionalism or the efforts you put into your work. That was my advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Erika. And I guess the last request I will have to all our panelists is that if you know any resources that you think would be helpful to people who are watching us, maybe you can either say them or later on share under maybe the recording of this live stream, so that we fully contribute to all the people who are interested in the topic and they get the maximum from us. Other than that, if there are no any more questions or comments from the panelists, I would highly encourage everyone to continue following Epic page on Facebook, because they have the recordings of the live stream, to share it with all your friends who would be interested in the field and would benefit from it. I see Irshad is saying, commented a resource which is RAT model for assumptions. Please check it out online, search in Google, and you will find interesting resources. To all the students of Bristol State University who are joining us today, I would encourage you to follow the Smart Entrepreneurship Centers page on Facebook and Management Masters Program page, because we are very active to promote and to share resources and knowledge to you, and we have lots of events that you can benefit from it. And another comment we have from Irshad is to look for a list of best-selling books for startuppers and start reading and listening to them. I definitely agree with that. So with that, I think we can finish today. If our panelists have final words, we can let them. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining today to us. It was truly a pleasure. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.